Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back to show off even more of my CD collection, continuing on with this lengthy ass series. But yeah, this one's kind of a special video. All the bands that I'm going to show in here are from here in Indiana, where I live. I live here in central Indiana. And for the longest time, I really didn't think we had any metal bands that were from here. I mean, most of the people I know listen to country or pop or whatever's on the radio, and just we're mostly known as kind of, especially where I live, we're kind of known as the rednecks of But yeah, I when I started getting into metal and delving further and further, I've noticed that yeah, as the old saying goes, there is more than corn in Indiana. We do have metal bands from Indiana. And yeah, I even have like a special shelf on one of my racks or one of my CD units just for Indiana bands. I've got a special holder that contains all the bands that are split up that are from Indiana. And as I said, some of these I'm sure probably, if you look them up in the Metal Archives, they're probably listed as being based out of somewhere else, but they started out here in Indiana. But yeah, before I get started, and get a little drink here. Anyway, the very first one was a complete blind buy when I bought it. And the packaging is what drew me to it. Plus, it was only $5, and it looked interesting. And the band is called Katasarke. And hopefully you can hear this. Actually, here we go. This is a floor tile. The band printed their logo on a floor tile. And then on the back, got a little wax seal, which I carefully pried open. And inside is the CD. And this is released on Crucible of Misanthropy. And limited to 240 copies. I got number 218. I haven't listened to this in a while, but I remember it being kind of like a pretty decent black metal. And like I said, I mean, who puts their CD in a fucking floor tile? That was worth the price alone just to have that. All right, moving on, we have Spiritual Decay, Closer to the Grave. Really good death metal. And then probably one of the best black metal bands that I've heard here in Indiana, though sadly they are no longer together. That is Fog with their album Through the Eyes of Night, Winged They Come. This is just fucking fantastic black metal in my opinion. I really wish they'd stayed together. Though the vocalist for this, Lord Typhus, actually has a band named after himself, Typhus. And in fact, his wife, Shauna Silvers, she was in Spiritual Decay, and she's also got Holocaustum, which I don't have their album, though I am planning on picking up sometime soon. Really good death metal. They both got some good projects going, so definitely check those out. And then this band should really need no introduction. The Gates of Slumber with The Awakening. And Conqueror, which has a very nice Conan-esque cover. Hymns of Blood and Thunder. And The Wretch, which was sadly their last album. And then this one, I used to work with a guy that was a drummer, and this was one of his bands. This is the only band that actually put out a CD of sorts, though as you can see, it's actually just a CDR. But this is a ASOM, or Altered State of Mind, The Face of Change. This is kind of almost like groove, like Pantera-esque type stuff, and it's pretty cool. And he even actually signed this for me when he gave it to me, which was kind of funny. But then we have Ebon Mortis, Reconstruction by Force. Oh, wait a minute. This is actually Demiricus, Demo Anno 2003 and 2004. And this is probably my favorite of the two demos that they put out. And track 2, Vagrant Idol. I love the version that is on this here, but not the one that comes on their debut album, 1. And then I got their second album, 2, Poverty. They are since split up. They used to be on Metal Blade, and then Metal Blade dropped them, and yeah, they pretty much couldn't get anything going after that. This here is a limited edition split put out by Stormspell. Records. It's called Thrash Clash Volume 1, Taking Over versus Phantom Witch. Which I bought this because of Phantom Witch, and this is limited to 1,000 copies. I got number 176. And like I said, Phantom Witch are really the only reason that I bought this here. And I actually met the guys in Phantom Witch, and they were fucking cool. The band is no longer together, but the guys that I met were just amazing. They actually came into where I work, and I saw one of the guys had a Gates of Slumber shirt on, and I mentioned it to him. I was like, "Hey, I love your shirt," and I said they were like, "Yeah, our former drummer actually joined the Gates of Slumber." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Well." I thought the Phantom Witch drummer. They're like, yeah, we are Phantom Witch. I didn't even recognize them at first. I'm like, holy shit. And, they were super cool guys. They even gave me a free patch, which I have on one of my jackets, which was really cool. And they only released this lone EP, which was a self-titled EP. But it was a really good thrash EP, in my opinion. Only 4 songs, but fucking amazing. Next up, we have Legion with Conqueror. Some more pretty cool old school style death metal. And then this one does not want to stay shut for some reason. This is Year of Desolation, self-titled, and I don't know if you can see a bit. I actually met the vocalist, Chad Zimmerman, and he signed this for me. He even drew a little caricature of himself. You'll probably be able to see it better on the other one. But he actually works at the 13th Floor Music Store, which is where I get to go every once in a blue moon. And a lot of times he's in there when I go in, and we talk. And it's, really cool guy. And this band was awesome. He's actually just, I think, reforming this band too. So hopefully they get some material put out. But yeah, here's their other one, Your Blood, My Vendetta. You can see the caricature and his signature. As I said, really cool guy. Then we have Purgatorium. These guys are kind of, if I remember right, almost like I think they're death metal. I haven't listened to this in a while, but yeah, these guys were pretty cool. I got this really cheap. I forget where I picked it up. Then we have Catatonic Atrocity, Eradication of Humanity, another solid death metal album. You cannot go wrong with this one here, nor this next one, which is Visceral Throne, Omnipotent Asperity. If you love brutal death metal, you got to check this out. And speaking of brutal death metal, I didn't even realize these guys were from Indiana. But that is Gorgasm with Masticate to Dominate. Bleeding Profusely. This is Orgy of Murder, which was my introduction to the band, little slipcase. And their latest one, Destined to Violate. Solid stuff all around. They have yet to really release a bad album, in my opinion. Next up is Harakiri with Twilight of the Idols. More death metal. Noticing we got a lot of death metal in this state. Next up is Sarcophagy, The Onset of Torture. And The Summoning. Next up is Human Filleted, Packaged Human Meat. This was limited to, I believe, 1,000 copies. I got number 754. This, though, the quality of it, it's not super great. But the follow-up here, this is Blunt Force and Bludgeonment. This is much better. If you were going to check anything out from Human Fillet, I would definitely recommend this one. Next up is Mercy Kill, The Order of War. Kind of, if I remember right, almost kind of metalcore-ish type stuff. Like I said, some of these I haven't listened to in quite some time, but another solid black metal band. Hordes of Nebula and Blasphemous Night Shall Fall. Killer stuff. Cannot go wrong with that. And then, of course, again, more black metal. Christ Beheaded, Open the Gates of Hell EP. This is the only thing that they have put out. And I really wish they would hurry up and put out some new material, because this came out in 2008. So it's been almost 8 years. I mean, come on, guys. Get it in gear. And then we have Engutterment Cephaloslammectomy 812. Really good slamming death metal. And the last one is Coffin Worm with 418. A little dark there, sorry. So yeah, Indiana got some killer metal. I recommend pretty much any of these. Like I said, we have actually got some really solid bands here in Indiana, and I try to buy anything from a local band that I can. There's also some ones that I don't have material from just because it's hard to find. There was a really good thrash speed metal band called Counterclockwise that had a 3-song EP that they only put out digitally that was just fucking great. But yeah, that'll do it for this particular collection part. So stay tuned for more to come. And thanks a lot for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.